Climate change, the evidence. Climate can be described as the average weather conditions for a location measured over a period of 30 years. The weather, however, is a description of the day-to-day changes in the conditions of the atmosphere. Climate change, therefore, is described as a long-term change in the average global temperature and typical weather patterns. We are going to look at climate change during the Quaternary Period. The Quaternary Period is a geological period that started about 2.6 million years ago and runs up to the present date. During the Quaternary, there have been periods of significant change in climate. As this graph of the last 800,000 years shows, there has been a repeating pattern of glacial and interglacial periods. The cold glacial periods repeat about every 100,000 years, as shown by the downward spikes on the graph, when temperatures were up to 9 degrees cooler than today's. The interglacial warmer periods are shown by the upward spikes and last 10 to 15,000 years. Temperatures were up to 4 degrees warmer than today's temperatures. But how do we know this? Temperature is measured using thermometers, but reliable measurements only go back to the 1850s. So how do we know what temperatures were like in the distant past? We need to use proxy data, or clues from the past, to recreate what temperatures would have been like. The billions of tons of sediment deposited at the bottom of the ocean act as a timeline for providing evidence of climate change as far back as 5 million years. The fossils present in sediment reveal information such as the past water temperature and level of oxygen in the atmosphere. This information can then be used to indicate what the climate was like in the past. Antarctic ice cores are another crucial piece of evidence in reconstructing the climate. Ice cores up to 3 kilometres deep have been extracted. By analysing the concentration of gases such as water vapour, carbon dioxide, methane and oxygen, and comparing them to today's concentrations, scientists have calculated a picture of temperature for almost 1 million years. Another method of dating climate events is looking at tree ring evidence. The rings are wider in warm and wet years and narrower in cool and dry years. Pine trees in California live for more than 6,000 years and can give information on what the climate was like in the past. Like ice cores and sediment data, though, they only indicate climate change and don't tell us the actual temperature at the time. To summarise, climate change is a long-term change in average global weather patterns. During the Quaternary Period, climate has fluctuated between cold glacial and warm interglacial periods. Scientists use evidence from proxy data to calculate climate in the distant past. The evidence is gathered from ocean sediments, ice cores, and tree rings. Thermometers provide direct temperature measurements from the 1850s onwards. Key words used in this nugget are Quaternary Period, a time period starting almost 2.6 million years ago and continuing until today. Glacial, colder period of time where ice expands out from the poles. Interglacial, warmer period of time where ice retreats back towards the poles. And proxy data, natural recordings used to estimate what conditions were like.